Reminder before we kick off, Salesforce is a publicly traded company, and we do advise that you make all purchasing decisions on currently available products and services. My name's Lara Niamela. I'm a Senior Manager of Product Marketing. I'm joined today by Roy Raviv, the Senior Director of Product Management, and Ness Ganon, Senior Manager of Product Management. And thank you all for being here today. I know it's not easy taking time away from busy schedules. Day 2 of Tableau conference. I hope you've been having an awesome conference so far. We're so excited to be seeing you here with us today. So the agentic era is really redefining how work gets done. If we think about our workflows every day, that's really drastically changing. If I think about how I start my day, it's oftentimes in Slack, asking Slackbot a question, or asking Tableau agent a question about my data to help me strategize better. So things are shifting. And that's really no different when it comes to analytics, right? Analytics is really shifting from what happened to what happens next. What can I do about it? What actions can I take to drive my business? But here's the thing. For AI to be accurate, it needs that trusted business context. It needs to understand my business as well as I do, all my nuances, all my definitions, all that institutional knowledge, so that the agent can come back to me with an accurate answer that I can trust, so that insights are cohesive. The numbers that I see are the same numbers that my teammate sees and my other team sees, and that I'm able to scale this automation across the organization and feel confident about doing that. And that's where Tableau Semantics comes in. So Tableau Semantics is an AI-infused semantic layer that's deeply integrated into Data 360. And we're going to be covering a lot about it today in this session, but I'll hit on a few points now. So it powers accurate agents, and that enables you to have confident decisions and take actions that drive your business forward. And you're able to do that 24/7 whenever you need it. You're able to scale trusted insights at speed. Oftentimes, semantic modeling is reserved for a select few in the organization. But with Tableau Semantics, we're breaking those barriers down with AI-powered modeling that enables you to get started, do it quickly, do it accurately, and also free up your time for more strategic work across the organization. And of course, you're able to unify your analytics stack because we don't want you to be trapped on a single tool or with a single vendor. We believe that the future is interoperable, and Tableau Semantics enables you to do just that. But I'll take a step back for a second. What is semantics? We talk about semantics a lot, but what is it actually? So semantics enables your AI to speak the language of your business. So if you think of all the organizational jargon that you have, AOV, ACV, red accounts, blue accounts. I'm sure that, if you're thinking about your organization, you probably leveraged multiple different terms. You have multiple different definitions, multiple different organizational nuances. You're able to capture that in a semantic layer to ensure that your data is translated into your business language. And more importantly, that the agent knows what you're saying when you're asking a question or when you're asking for analysis. And that's how it really bridges that gap between data and being able to get those actionable insights that you feel confident about that will drive your business. So you're moving from unifying that data, enriching it with all of that business knowledge, those trusted metrics, that governance, so that you know that you can trust that data, that you know that that data is of good quality, it's governed, and you're able to move with agility. So today we're going to be talking about how you can scale your trusted insights at speed with AI-powered modeling, power accurate agents and confident decisions with trusted business knowledge, and unify your analytics stack with an interoperable layer. We're going to be seeing a lot of demos, and with that, I'll pass it over to Ness.
Thanks, Lara. Hi, everyone. So, as Lara described, semantics give our data meaning and actual business context. And before I'll dive into the demo, I would like to discuss about 3 core components that we have in the semantic model. And what I'm going to show you in this demo is one of our core capability is composable semantic models, right? We want to allow you to build models and calculation and semantic definition and reuse them over and over again without the need to build them from scratch. We allow you to build unified and standardized metric to allow your business user to track after specific KPIs, set goals, and action on top of them. We also provide you an AI capabilities that will make building and authoring much more faster. So you'll get to insights much more faster without all this manual process of building a semantic model from scratch. This will allow you to get consistent and unified data in a single semantic model. But I'd be glad to just jump right in and show you how it looks like in production. So I'll switch into the environments. All right. Great. So before I'll dive into the semantic model itself, I'll start the journey in Tableau Next homepage. So I logged in a few minutes ago to our homepage. And as you can see, I got here the Tableau Cloud homepage where we can see the different assets. And I already created for us a new workspace that is called Sales and Service. This is the use case that we're going to cover in this next few minutes. So you can see that I have in my workspace already a dashboard that I created, a visualization, some semantic models, and the data objects, which are the underlying object for our semantics. So I'll dive right into this semantic model. So yeah, this one that I created. And I would like to do an overview about what you're seeing here. So you can see that in the center, we have the objects connected to each other by a relationship. If I'll click here on account, for example, I'll get a preview of the data. And if I'll click on a specific relationship, I get a preview of the data as well, and also information about the matching fields. All right. Another capability that I mentioned is the AI assisted capability that allow us to build a model, right? So if, for example, I'll click on this button, the AI will suggest me to connect between these two objects that currently are not connected, right? By detecting this relationship, I'll be able to review the suggestion by the AI, right? It looks good to me. So I'm just going to approve it in a single click. Great. All right. And you probably wonder, what is this blue box that we have in the center of our canvas, right? So I just talked about a few minutes ago about composable model. So before I created this sales and service model, I created the sales model, right? It allows me, in this case, to actually reuse all the definitions and calculation and all the relationship that I set in the sales model, also in this new extended model. And that way, I don't need to build the same definition from scratch over and over again, and I keep a single source of truth for all the definitions that I created. On the left, you can see that we have all the semantic definition. You can see the same object that we have on the canvas reflected here as well. We have calculated fields, which, if you're familiar with those terms from Tableau Cloud and Tableau Server, this is basically very similar. You can see that we have the formula for the calculated fields and the calculated dimension and measures, and we have the metrics. And as I mentioned before, metrics are KPIs that are based on specific measure and time dimension that allow business user to track over that KPI. In this example, we track over sales revenue. And we can set goals and actions on top of that. So this was a quick overview of how our authoring experience look like. And basically, we have here a model that is ready for use. But right now, I show you the self-serve authoring experience that is aimed for analysts, right? That it's part of our Tableau Next experience. But what if you are maybe a BI engineer, or you just feel more comfortable writing code and managing your semantic with your own ID? So we got a solution for that as well. And I would like to show you the recent product that we released. And it's a new experience, new authoring experience. And I'm going to switch here to my preferred IDE, which is Cursor in this case. And I already opened the same model. As you can see, we got here the sales and service model. And what you're going to see here is that we got multiple JSON files. So we took the model and broke it down into several JSON files. Each of them is dedicated for a specific semantic definition part. And what you're seeing right here, this is the overall model metadata. You can see, for example, that we have here the API name of the model, the description, etc. And if I'll navigate to data object JSON, I can see all the objects that I have in the all the data objects that I have in the model, like the account DMO, sales, and I can modify that. But it doesn't end up only here, because we understand that you might have very large model, and sometimes it's pretty difficult to understand the relationship or the different definitions when you have a large model only by looking at JSON files. So we also provided visualization of the relationship and the ERD. So I have the ability to click here and actually see the representation of the data objects and the relationship in a very dynamic and vivid way. I can also double click on a data object and get a lineage between the data object itself and the calcs that are related to that object. We also have the ability to test the model before deploying it. By the way, I didn't show you, but we also have the same capability in the authoring experience of testing the model before building any visualization. So I can pick the fields that I want to test. In this case, I picked the account and the annual revenue. All right, it looks great to me, and I can deploy it once I feel comfortable and I'm done with that. All right, so this was the second way to author and build semantic model. But what if we want to speed up all this process of building and authoring semantic model, right? We're in the agentic area, and we understand that we need to provide you even better tools to boost your work and save your time. So this is why we recently introduced a new capability, a new authoring capability, to build a semantic model from scratch in a single prompt. And I'm gonna demo it for you right now, right? So I'm navigating back to Tableau next. I'm going back to my workspace, and I'm gonna click here on Add. Let's create a new semantic model. I'll pick here semantic model, and let's create a new one. You can see that I got here a button, build with a data pro. I'm gonna click on that, right? And I already created a prompt before this session, so I'm just gonna paste it here. And basically, I'm gonna ask the LLM to build a sales and service semantic model, right? This is our use case. I try to give like the broader context that I can in order to get more accurate answers. So I'll click here and send it to the LLM. So right now, the LLM interrupt, right, my request. It understands what kind of objects I'm expecting to get, what kind of data, what kind of a relationship. You can see that at the bottom, it marked all the objects that are expected to be part of our new semantic model. So we have here account, sales, product. It looks perfect. And I have the ability to mark or unmark a specific object if I think that it's related or not related. But in this case, it looks perfect. So I'm just going to click on Create and let the agent do its magic. All right, so what you're seeing right now is that the semantic model is being created, right? It took something like, I don't know, like 5 or 7 seconds, and we are halfway through. And right now, behind the scenes, as I said, the relationship are being set up, calculated fields are being created, and in a very short moments, we will get the full functioning semantic model, right? We are almost there, but don't worry, we don't have to wait. I just created the same semantic model with the same prompts, right? This is what I got, 5 minutes before we started this session. I ran it, and I got a full functioning semantic model with all the data objects connected to each other. And you can see that I got also calculated field, right? The LLM understood what I'm interested in, right? That my analysis is focused on sales and service analysis. And I got here ready to use semantic model. And I think that's, yeah, it's almost there. Yeah, and it's ready, right? So it took us something like 2 minutes, and we got a full functioning semantic model, a work that will probably take you, before the agentic area, probably hours or maybe even days. We achieved that with a single prompt by 2 minutes. So I covered 3 ways to author and build semantic model. And with that, I would like to hand it over to Ray, who will show you how you can actually leverage this semantic model and optimize them for the agent use. Ray.
Thank you, Ness. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ness. So we talked about how to build semantic models using AI, how to author them. But let's talk about how semantic model help your agents actually do a better job. So Tableau Semantics includes several functionalities that will help your agents work much, much better. The first one is business preference. Business preference add a context layer to your semantic model. Just like a new employee is not expected to understand what internal terminology is, like for example, red account, it might mean something in my org that is different from your, or even you won't even use that term, right? An agent won't know that as well. So we need to infuse the agent with this knowledge, and business preference allows us to enter these terminologies, this internal jargon, into the semantic model and makes it part of the knowledge that the agent is going to use. Other functionalities also include being able to understand your model schema and make sure that there is the garbage in, garbage out approach, that we want to make sure we don't start the agent off with a bad set of data or complex to understand data. So it's important to go over the metadata in order to make sure that the agent will be able to understand your model. But that's difficult and time consuming. And we'll see in a second how we can simplify that as well. In addition, when you're creating agents, you as the experts know which questions your users are gonna ask, or at least a few of them, right? And you wanna make sure that the core capabilities of your agent are actually tested. And we'll see how Tableau Semantics had the tools to help you do that. So let's jump right in, and I'll show you these capabilities. Okay, so in here I have a model for store performance and product data. And if I were to ask you guys to, optimize this model for AI, probably some of you would not really know where to start, and that's okay because that's a new thing. It's not something we had to do just a short while ago. Others will say, well, in my organization, I know my models ins and out. I can probably, give me the basics, I'll probably be able to do it. But the question is, how long is it gonna take you to start optimizing the model? So in order to save you time, we added capability called AI optimization that holds all the different tools that you need in order to do it. When you click on it, we open a side panel that give you these cards. Now, Ness already showed and talked about relationship suggestions and how we can make sure there are no islands, and we help you connect the different objects together. But another one here is missing descriptions. So descriptions are important when your agent is operating, because the way things work is agents create queries behind the scenes. They look at your schema, they look at your model, and then they try to build a query that they can run in order to get the data. If it's clear to them, if the fields are clear, if the tables are clear, they're able to find the different fields and semantic entities they need in order to create a correct query. Okay? If it's not clear, if it's vague, then this is where you start getting all these hallucinations or mistakes with your agents. Descriptions are one data point that help the agent understand a little bit better what a field is at. Now, this is a relatively clear model that we've created for the demo, right? I'm sure that if you look at your lakes, you will find table names and fields that are a little bit more cryptic, like, right, every extension we add all these strange acronyms inside that, you need to be an expert in order to figure out what they are. And we help you. You don't need to write descriptions on your own, okay? We have functionality to also create descriptions automatically based on the information of the field, based on its association with other tables, etc. So that's definitely one thing that's worth working on. And the nice thing is, you don't need to sift through and see which field, which tables are missing descriptions. You get them all here in one click. The next one is a functionality I'm extremely excited about, and you probably saw it in the keynote. It's called similarity detection, where we basically try to find similar semantic entities in terms of their meaning. So think about it. For example, you have two calculated fields, average order total and mean order amount, okay? Now, yes, they are basically the same thing. And in a dashboard environment, it's probably not a big deal. Some users will pick one, the other might pick the others. It won't break anything. But for an agent, a scenario like that can mean a clarify intent scenario. What does it mean? Well, the agent won't know which field to pick, so it will ask the user. Now, most users won't know which one to pick. So we want to avoid these situations, right? By the way, other agents might just pick one at random. Now, in here, there's not much of an impact, right? But if this was a mistake, like one held a calculated field that you want your users to use, and the other one is using a calculation that maybe someone added, and it's not super accurate and you don't want them to use it, then it becomes a problem because the agent might pick just the one you don't want and you lose control, and we don't want that. So in order to mitigate all these similarities, all you need to do is either change the label to make it distinct, or add descriptions, or if it's redundant, like in this example, you can simply hide the field, okay? That basically, when the model is being sent to the agent, this field is marked as hidden, and then it won't select it. The second example that we have here is a little bit trickier to find, okay? So we have two fields, one called available stock and one units on hand. Now, they both have a meaning. They both need to be there, okay? But they are pretty similar to one another, okay? One refers to the inventory that I have ready in the warehouse. Another is also indicating kind of the inventory that I have, but it also includes items that might have been returned or already marked for sale. And I know that, but the agent needs to know that as well. So by adding descriptions, by maybe modifying the label a little bit, we can create better clarity for the agent in order to pick the right field. Now, the real value of this functionality is not the amount of similarities that you are finding, okay? It's actually finding it for you. Like the time it will take to go over all the fields and the combination with the table names and to figure out which combinations will confuse the agent, I don't think it's even possible for a human to go over all the different combinations and search for them. So that is the real value here, that it saves you tons of time. Okay, so now that we got our model ready, and according to the best practices, it's the best model we can give the agent, let's move over to actually test our agent, okay? So in QA calibration, you are able to take the agent that you've created and test out common questions that your users will ask the agent. Now you can see on the right-hand side, they have this verified symbol here. What this means questions that I ran, tested, and as the expert, tested and said, yes, this question, the answer is correct, okay? What happens then is that the query is being saved and then reused behind the scenes to help the agent answer similar questions. It's not hard coding the questions and the query. It's learning which fields are used in these situations for the questions that you are asking. And then it actually reuses that knowledge when questions that are similar are surfacing for our users. You'll also notice this triangle here that symbols that there has been a change to the model since the last time I did a check. Okay, so you know that if someone made a change to the model, and we all work with teams and multiple people are touching the model, agents are even starting to touch the model, right? We need some sort of control to make sure that our data is right, and this functionality can help us do that. So let me add a new question and kind of show this to you live. So I'm going to ask, how many gold stores do we have? Now, you can see that a new question has been added. And as I go in, we basically test it with the agent. Now, you might ask yourself, what are gold stores? Well, that's a good question. My agent will have the same question, because I never defined what gold stores are. I didn't tell you, and I didn't tell the agent. So it has no way of knowing what gold stores are, right? In here, I can basically tell the agent, hey, this answer is inaccurate, and I can select that I have an unrecognized term used in the question as the agent reported. And now I'm going to add this definition. I'm going to say gold stores. It's stores that sold 500K. Once I save it, I get a calibration suggestion saying, OK, thank you for the clarification. This is what needs to happen. You need to add it as a business preference, and it even articulates it a little bit better for me. So it says, when the user asks about gold stores, interpret as stores that sold 500K. OK? I'm going to add it to my business preference, and we are going to retest. Now, what happens now is, as the agent starts working, it reaches out to our semantic model. It gets the business preference as input, okay? And now it's aware of what gold stores means, and you will see in a second that it returns a successful result. Now, what's cool about that, okay, that I'm showing all of this on top of the analytics agent, right? But if you were to work with Claude over MCP, because you're using this model and the information is stored on the model, any other solution will know what gold stores are, what your terminology means. So when you're using Tableau Semantics as the governed foundation for your agentic work, it doesn't matter which agent you end up using, you get the tools in order to make sure that your agents are predictable and are aware of your organization's specific terminology and business. Okay, last thing I'm going to show you is, by the way, you can always validate how the agent got to the answer that it gave us. Okay, it's telling you which fields it used, and if we go back, by the way, to the model itself, and I'll open AI optimization from here and click on manage business preferences, you can see that it's stored in the model. If you don't want to go question by question, you can also add here business preferences in bulk, obviously, okay, so that it's quicker if you have a list of known terminologies and preferences that you want to add. Okay, and with that, I'll pass it back to Lara. Thank you.
How we are enabling and empowering everybody to unify your analytics stack with this one interoperable layer that Ness and Roy just went over. So we really believe that you should be able to use the best tool for the job. And so whether you're leveraging Tableau Cloud, Tableau Server, Tableau Next, we want you to be able to use all these different tools and tools and products interoperably. So you have your data in one single place and you're able to leverage that data no matter what you're working on. And that also goes across different vendors, right? We really believe that the future of data is open, it's interoperable, that you shouldn't be locked into a single tech stack, a vendor's tech stack. And that's why we've initiated the partnership with key leaders in the market so that we all start to speak a shared language and tools start to speak the same language as well. So you're able to model once and leverage those models everywhere and not have to rebuild them. And of course, Roy covered a little bit about Tableau MCP. But we know, obviously, that AI and agents are increasingly becoming a bigger and bigger part of our day. But if you think of a generalist agent, that's very much of like a brilliant new employee that hasn't worked a day in your company. And that's why it's really important to ensure that we're grounding our agents in trusted business data and trusted business logic and organizational knowledge that's in Tableau that you've worked on and built and governed and ensured that is of good quality and ensures accuracy from your agents. And that's exactly what Tableau MCP does. It connects your agents with that trusted data in Tableau so that you know that all of those definitions, all of those nuances that you have in Tableau are actually what the agent is grounding its responses in. And all of that, of course, is secure also by the Agentforce trust layer. So you know that every interaction is secure. So that brings us to the end of this session. We do have a few more upcoming sessions where we will be taking a deeper look at some of what we discussed today. One that's happening later today on conversational analytics, and another one that's happening also today on Tableau Next MCP. We highly recommend that you join us for those sessions, and we're here if you have any questions. Thank you so much for joining us.